Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brand new episode of Schmoedown All Access. I'm your host, Christopher Woodburn, but of course, I'm not alone. I got my man, the villain, running the ones and twos, Haven Pendergast. What's cracking?
Oh, yeah. What's up, man? Ready to talk about some of the stuff that's been happening in the Schmoedown world. If you don't know what we're talking about, then how are you even watching this?
And next up, we got a very familiar face, the King of Hearts, James Shimo. What's cracking?
Not a lot, C-Dub. I'm here. I'm ready to talk Schmoedown. All I can say is the build-up to the collision is getting interesting.
It certainly is. And last but certainly not least, making his debut here on All Access, we got my homeboy, Dominic Rizzi.
Movie nerd.
You almost had it, C-Dub. It's just Rizzy, one word, but you're all good. Let's do this. Let's talk Schmoedown.
All right. Well, we had 3 matches this week because we had a Patreon match. So on Tuesday we had a continuation of this IG tournament. We had Keaton Markey taking on Rosie Knight. James, I'll go to you first. Who were you picking in this match? And yeah.
Well, going into this match, I wasn't sure who to pick because we only really saw Keaton in that one Fatal 5-Way, which Mark Donica ended up winning. But she seemed like she knew a good bit in that match, even though I think the pressure of the whole thing kind of the answers escaped her because of the lights and not being familiar with the format and things like that. But she was a more seasoned veteran this time around. As far as Miss Knight goes, I mean, it was definitely interesting. I hadn't heard anything about her. I didn't really know much about her. Like I'd seen her like a couple times on Jedi Council, but I hadn't really known much about her, what her involvement was in the other areas of Inner Geekdom. So going into it, I gave the slight edge to Keaton just because of her experience in the Schmoedown format, and she seemed like a little bit more of a well-rounded player than Knight was.
Definitely. Haven?
I totally forgot that not Knight, the other girl.
Keaton
Markey.
How you pronounce her name?
Keaton
Markey.
Keaton. I forgot that she was in that 5-way match, so when they showed her when they showed the highlights, I was like, okay, I remember her playing. She seems she's got her own personality, and she has a nice look, like she's going for it with the bunny ears. So if she keeps that, she'll have like a little character going. Knight, I know she's been on Jedi Council before, so I thought, since Star Wars is a part of IG, I didn't know what her strengths were going to be. I liked her promo in the beginning. She was healing it up. Once they started getting going, and I didn't know. I was kind of rooting for Keaton, because she played before. Knight, I didn't know what to expect from Knight, so it was kind of a toss up.
Dominic?
All right, so just to refresh my memory again, so remind me again, the Fatal 5-Way that Keaton played in with Donica, Jared Habon was also in that Fatal 5-Way, correct?
No, he was in the other one because he and Donica faced each other for the #1 contender spot.
That's right. Okay, so I remember watching that Fatal 5-Way with Donica and Keaton, and that was the first one.
Adam Hlavik was also in.
That's right. Adam Hlavik was in there as well, and I remember at a certain point just thinking, "Good God, like how is Donica playing with all of these guys? Like he's crushing every single one of them." And that's honestly what I was worried about going into this Inner Geekdom tournament just as a whole, because like outside of like Donica, Habon, and like a couple of the guys, this entire thing just felt like an entire joke legitimately set up by Kalinowski. Because I'm like, okay, I don't know most of these players, and of the players that I have seen, none of them have the skills to even like be worth it. I get it, they're trying to expand the Inner Geekdom tournament. It happens. But I will say that, and I will say Keaton was one of those that I was worried, because I was worried that she was going to be another Emma Fyfe, which I still have no idea how Emma Fyfe is still getting tournaments, because like she's a fine personality, I guess, but Emma Fyfe is quite just on a skills basis is one of the worst players in the league. So I was worried that Keaton was going to be
there. Talk about Emma Fyfe.
No. Like I said, good personality, but I'm just talking from a pure skill basis. Objectively speaking, like she is not a good player. Like there's a reason why she was facing Finstock and Jay Washington and Ricky of all people. But yeah, so Keaton, I would say back on actual topic, Keaton, I would say actually proved herself this game. Like I was worried for her coming out of round one, but she held her own, especially with that amount of trash talk that Rosie was talking. Like after a certain point, it's like, okay, I'm cool with trash talk, but only if you have the skills to back it up. And so after a certain while, like I wasn't a fan of Rosie and what she was doing. So I'm glad that Keaton came out on top.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you, Dominic. Yeah, Rosie, she was talking a lot of smack, taking shots at Christian and the whole league as a whole. And I mean, I'm with the faces, so I was rooting for Keaton. So yeah, going into this first round, Keaton, she played pretty well. I mean, well, they both played pretty well. They both got 7 out of 10. On question 2, the highlights for the first round. Question 2, Keaton couldn't remember Ned Stark's character from Game of Thrones, which was Sean Bean. He was in the Lord of the Rings films. And then also, Keaton on question 8 couldn't remember Hoth. Like, that was very surprising to me. And then Rosie on question 9 didn't know Ellen Page played Kitty Pryde, aka Shadow Cat. And then question 10, I'm not a big fan of the Back to the Future films, but one thing I do know is that Marty hated to be called Chicken. I was surprised both of them got those incorrect. So, Haven, I'll go to you. What were your overall thoughts on that first round?
It was good, back and forth. C-Dub, you're always trying to hold yourself on this high pedestal. Like, oh, I'm so surprised. I'm shocked that they missed that one. Nobody's perfect. I can't wait till you're on the Schmoedown and somebody just beats the shit out of you up there because you always act like you know every question or every answer. Yeah, I mean, they both played very strong in the first round. 7, they both got 7 points. At first I thought that Knight was gonna trail because she missed a couple early. The Ned Stark question, I mean, she wrote Ned Stark as a funny answer. Sometimes, I was like, oh yeah, and they even, she knew who it was. She just couldn't remember his real name. So it happens. But yeah, at the end of the round 1, I was impressed with both of them because that 5-way match that she was in that we spoke about earlier, I watched that one time and I forgot if she played well, So this, to see them both go one-on-one and they both come out with 7 points after round 1, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a really tough match, a really good match.
Dominant.
Yeah, so real quick, C-Dub, I'm going to need your help with this because I have like this thing where for some reason I never actually remember the questions once I've watched the match. Like I would have to go back and rewatch the match. So can you just give me a reminder real quick? What were the 3 questions? Because you said they got 7 out of 10, right? Each. So what were the 3 questions that each one of them missed on?
Well, I can't answer that. Question 10, what was what did Marty hate being called in the Back to the Future films? That was question 10.
Right, with the chicken. I thought that was a real easy one. I thought that I'm like, okay, how can you like be a movie fan and not get this? But they didn't get it. So.
And then question 9, Keaton got it right, but Rosie did not. Was Ellen Page played
Ellen Page played Shadow Cat. That one's a little bit of a deeper cut. That's more so just like, okay, if you're not like super into the X-Men movie specifically, and if you're just like a casual geek, that one I can kind of understand if you don't get the chicken one. That's one where it's like, okay, if like you've seen the Back to the Future movies, right? And like, those are staples of that franchise. So like, come on, that one, like I have my limit, just questions where it's like, there are some questions where I'll be like, okay, how did you miss this? And other questions where I'll be like, okay, I can understand why you didn't get it, even if you didn't think it was easy, like me, because I'm just me. I think every question that's not like a really deep cut is easy, but that's just me. Not everyone's me. I know that.
Yeah. And then question 2 for Keaton, she got wrong, was Sean Bean played Boromir in the Lord of the Rings franchise.
Right. And again, that one, I'm kind of in the middle in that, where it's like, okay, again, if you're not like super into this franchise, I can understand why you wouldn't have gotten that. But on the same time, it's like, okay, if they do claim to be Game of Thrones fans, like I feel like that's a thing that not just Game of Thrones fans, but just like regular moviegoers know that it's like, okay, the guy who plays Boromir from Lord of the Rings is Ned Stark on Game of Thrones. So that's what I'm kind of in the middle on that. Like they both did very well in round one. I would say that unlike Keaton, Rosie's only good round was round one because if I'm not mistaken, she missed a majority of her questions in rounds 2 and 3. But Keaton, they both did pretty well coming out of the gate.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, this the first round usually is very much a feeling out round, especially when you have a new competitor coming in. It's very much like the opening round in a boxing match. You're throwing jabs, you're trying to find openings, you're getting used to how the match itself goes and how your opponent plays through. So, yeah, the fact that they missed a handful of those questions, like, I mean, I remembered the Hoth question only because I used to play the friggin' Star Wars Monopoly game, and that answer was in there, so I managed to pull that completely out of my ass. But as far as, like, yeah, Back to the Future, I've seen those movies so many times. Yeah, I mean, Morty's whole shtick is nobody calls me chicken. He doesn't like to be, called a coward. He's very macho, this, that, and the other. So I felt like that one should have been almost a give me. As far as Sean Bean, again, she knew who it was. Technically, she just couldn't pull the name. But like I said, I've seen that guy and so many other things. He was in GoldenEye. He was in the Percy Jackson movie, or at least the first one. And then, yeah, just like, and as far as, some of the other questions go, I mean, it's understandable that especially like in the heat of the moment and like with the pressure on and things like that, because it is a tournament setting. You're like, okay, I got to score as many points as I need to give myself enough of a buffer to, be in a decent spot in rounds 2 and 3, because those are the make or break rounds. So, the pressure's on in that first round. And, with that added in there, I could see how maybe some of those answers might have slipped my minds.
Yeah, and to go back to your question before, Dominic, question 8 was where did Luke go to train with Yoda? And Keaton answered Hoth, but right. And Rosie got it correct. It was Dagobah.
That's one where it's like, okay, that's just a thing of where every planet in Star Wars is different, because I feel like there are certain ones where it's like, okay, there's the ones that everybody remembers, like the Tatooine. And I feel like Hoth has gotten there, up there, between both the Schmoedown, because one of the biggest things that everybody was talking about with Last Jedi, because for the most part, people usually only remember like the first thing that comes to their mind, what's most relevant. And one of the biggest things out of Last Jedi is, whatever planet they were on at the end, the salt planet, they went out of their way to show that it was salt, because everybody was saying, it's a repeat of Hoth, just like everything else they were saying amongst the Last Jedi. Like, laundry list of criticisms for that movie, but that's like the one where it's like, okay, I can understand at the very least, like, not getting Dagobah, because that's one that, like, it's not talked about as much. But Hoth, like, that's, like, come on. Like, everybody knows that Hoth is the ice planet. That's one where it's like, okay, even if it's not, even if you don't get the right answer, you still could have gotten, like, anything but Hoth. Like, that one's just too obvious an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking a question later on. That's why. Or it might have been from a totally different match. So, yeah, Dagobah's a give me. I mean, especially when one of the most famous quotes out of Empire Strikes Back is, "You will go to the Dagobah system." I mean, come on.
Yeah. The fact that I'm pretty sure like 90% of the most iconic one-liners from Star Wars comes from that movie.
Yeah.
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 See, after this first round, we were all tied up at 7, and Keaton, she had the advantage to either spin first or defer. She asked Rosie, "Do you want to go first?" And then Rosie tells her, "You go ahead." And then Keaton turns the table and says, "No, you go ahead." And I love that. I mean,
that was cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
So Rosie, so Rosie spun Star Wars, and at first thought, I'm thinking, oh boy, she's about to run away with this. She's been on Jedi Council, and that was not the case. She only got 1 out of 5 correct answers for 2 points. Keaton wasn't really able to capitalize too much. He got 1 out of 3 steals for 2 points. I mean, how shocked were you guys by this? I mean, a woman who has appeared on Jedi Council numerous times, and she struggled big time. Dominic, I'll go to you first.
Definitely shocked me, I will say, but not in the sense, not in like the traditional sense, because I don't watch Jedi Council as consistently as I used to, and so I must have missed the episode that she was on. But she definitely did look like the type of person who seemed confident going into that Star Wars round, and then for her to miss almost every single question, especially which, again, refresh my memory because I don't remember what the questions were at all. But were those like middle of the road Star Wars questions? Or were those like pretty tough, like the questions that Damon and Knapsack got when in their Star Wars batch, or were they like more middle tier, like stuff that like more casual fans would know about?
Well, question one was who tows Anakin's cockpit out for the big race in Phantom Menace. I don't recall question two. Or question two was what was Paige's sister in The Last Jedi?
Right.
Rose's sister.
Rose.
Rose's sister. Sorry, thank you, James. Rose's sister. Question three was who says the line, "All who gain power are afraid to lose it, even the Jedi." That was where Keaton was able to get the steal for Darth Sidious.
That's such an obvious Palpatine. Like I feel like even if you're not like do super dive, like, oh, I read all the books, I know all of that expanded universe, just as somebody who's like watched the Star Wars movies, that just sounds like a line that Palpatine says, you know?
Oh yeah, I remember that scene vividly. It's when he talked to him about saving people from dying.
Yeah, it's one of the most iconic scenes in that entire film, and it's one of the things that still, for me at least, is going to shock everyone, pushes Revenge of the Sith up above Last Jedi and Solo. But, yeah, so definitely shocking overall. I'm gonna try and leave my own personal thoughts on The Last Jedi out of that and save that for the thing with Jay. But
yeah, and then question four, it was what color is the on the guns turned when they want to set the stun?
Oh yeah, and that was blue. I thought that was like really obvious because it's like, that was in the first Star Wars movie.
And then question five was what character in A New Hope refers to R2-D2 and C-3PO as robots? I myself actually thought it was Obi-Wan, but in fact it was Luke.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that was the only question that I missed that round. Like, I had to think a little bit about the Rose question because I didn't remember her sister's name at first, but then I remembered, okay, yeah, it's Paige. But those other ones, yeah, like, that's not exactly, like, a tough round. Those aren't, that's not exactly like, oh, who's the guy who, well, that's not exactly like a massa meta question, like, oh, who's Palpatine's aide? That, like, okay, only really super diehard Star Wars fans would know. Those are, like, pretty average, typical questions. So I'm, again, shocked that she missed as many of those as she did.
Absolutely. James?
Yeah, for someone who claims to be as big of a Star Wars fan as Rosie did, I mean, being on Jedi Council and things like that, to kind of whiff on some of those questions, which I think the only one I missed in round number 2 was the robots question. I had said Uncle Owen, but I mean, a lot of those were kind of like mid-range. Even I'd call them mid-range Star Wars questions. But even then, if you've seen a handful of the movies, you would know at least the majority of those. Rose. I remembered Rose's sister's name because not only had I seen the movie, but I'd actually listened to the novelization of The Last Jedi. So that helped. But yeah, just overall granted, I'm a hardcore Star Wars fan and things like that. So I was fairly confident going into that. But even then I was like, for her to miss majority of those is just like, really? You claim to be, an expert at these and you miss those little details. But then throughout most of the match, we see that Rosie kind of had just like a fuck off attitude about it. She's like, I don't even care. Why am I even here? Like, what's the point of all this? It didn't seem like she really was taking this as seriously as like some other competitor would. So
yeah, exactly. And James, sorry to intercut, but if I may just interject for a little bit, like I go on and on and on about how much I don't care about the wrestling and all that, but like at the very least, it's like you're on the Schmoedown itself. So at the very least, we get it if you're not a fan of the storylines and the wrestling and the whole facade, but at the very least, show some respect for being there. Like just the fact of thinking that you're too good to be on there itself, that's something that like I'm not a fan of. So that's kind of like what kind of turned me off to her overall as a competitor and not just like as a character on the show.
Right.
Haven?
I think that some of these people, I've said it before, some of the new people they bring in, I honestly think they never watched the match before because I don't think she went to multiple choice once. I mean, they explained the rules. They explained the rules,
Yeah.
and even though she's been on Jedi Council, which I haven't watched that in a while. I think she's been on like at least 2 or 3 times, I think, in the last like couple years. So she's, been there before. And some of those questions, like I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I would have got 3 out of 5, I believe, because I just watched The Last Jedi the other night. The Sidious question, I would have got that one. So maybe 2 out of 5, to be honest. But I just think that when they get there, they even say the rules before each round. And I just think that these competitors with the lights, with the people that are probably watching, chit-chatting, so they're probably like getting distracted. But it's like she would have had a better round if she would have went multiple choice, and she never did. So it just don't make sense. Like, there's a tool to be used. And, and even sometimes the announcers didn't even bring it up. Like, hey, remember you have, multiple choice. So, it sucks because, like I said, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I would have got 2 out of 5. But other than that, it's just surprising me when these new people come in that they just don't know the rules. Like, if she used multiple choice, she probably would have got 5 points in that round, but she didn't. So it's just, like I said, these new people, they just don't know, I guess, or something, because that's the only thing I took out of it. Because I'm like, you're a Star Wars fan, but you're missing a lot of questions and you never went to multiple choice. So it just, right then and there, I knew she just fucked off. She didn't care after that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and something I want to touch on that I didn't mention before. What was up with that scoreboard during the match, the first 2 rounds? It was pretty wonky.
Yeah.
I'm glad you noticed that, because that shit was bugging throughout that entire match.
Yeah,
I think what they screwed up their names. That threw me off, because I'm like, wait, no, that's Keaton, not Rose. So yeah, that was throwing me off.
Yeah, it got all kinds of wonky there, because I saw like one had the wrong score on it, and I was just like, wait, what the hell's going on? Like, somebody needs to check on these editors, like make sure they get enough coffee or put some freaking adrenaline in an IV form or something.
Yeah, no, except Shimo, you know what's going to happen now? And again, you can edit this out if you want, but you know what's going to happen now? If Christian sees this, he's going to be like, oh, keep quiet on the editors. They do all they can, and they're severely underpaid. The Patreon supports everything. That's exactly what's going to happen. We're not even sitting.
I know Christian's a fan of this stuff and things like that. And I know he's watched a couple of my reactions and things like that. Any kind of jabs I throw at people, it's all meant in good fun. I'm not taking things too seriously here. I'm just saying, I know that they're probably trying their best and things like that. These are just details, but for it to be that bad, I mean, you think they would at least watch it back at least 2 or 3 times to check it,
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyhow. I mean, at the end of the day, they're humans. Errors will happen. But, at the end of the day, it didn't affect the match. So.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just nitpicking for the fun of it. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then Keaton, it's her turn up, and she spins DCEU. She elected not to keep it, and unfortunately for her, she spins opponent's choice, which then Rosie gives her DCEU, and she played pretty well. She did the best she could. She got 3 out of 5 for 4 points. She did check the multiple choice a few times. Rosie was able to capitalize on 1 of 2 steals for a point. Yeah. Question 2 for Keaton. It hurt me a little bit that they both got this question wrong. Was who played Martha Wayne in Batman v Superman? Keaton guessed Jennifer Morrison, and Rosie guessed Kate Bosworth, Kate Bosworth, she was in a Superman film, but that was Superman Returns, and she played Lois Lane.
Arguably,
the answer was Lauren Cohen. Yeah, it hurt that they both got that question wrong. I was pretty surprised at that, even on multiple choice.
Right.
Well, so, Haven, I'll go to you. What were your thoughts on those questions, and how well did you do?
Oh, those questions were they were easy. She elected to go multiple choice, which was smart on her end. That's why she was able to stay in the match. Yeah, they both got that one wrong, and it happens. Once you went to multiple choice, I knew which one it was, but for them to both get the question number 2 wrong was surprising. DCU, I'm surprised that that's still a category. Was they only have 4 movies?
5,
Technically,
but
5.
not a difference.
There's a 5 now.
Yeah, Justice League.
Superman, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Justice League, and Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh yeah, so yeah, and then the next year they'll have Aquaman and then Wonder Woman 2. So yeah, it grows. Okay. Yeah, it just, she didn't know it. She laid out an opponent's choice. The opponent gave it to her, which is smart. I think something happened to me like that a couple times when I've played. So she handled herself well. She really is a good baby face for the league. She's growing on me. I like this. She had the R2D2 dress, so that was cool. So she's a fan, and she played well, for that round.
James?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the DCEU questions and everything goes, like the only I missed that one too about who played Martha Wayne, only because I don't watch The Walking Dead. I knew it was an actress from The Walking Dead because of Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I just didn't remember who. But yeah, I mean, as far as those questions go, they seem like somewhat, I won't say middle of the road, but like, more towards the softball meets the middle of the road kind of questions. And, yeah, I was kind of surprised on a lot of those that they missed them, especially if they had seen. Well, granted, let's be honest, who really watched any of the DCEU movies more than once? But aside from Wonder Woman was fantastic. But aside from other than that, like Suicide Squad, I didn't pay much attention to. But I knew both of those questions. Floyd Lawton played Deadshot, all that. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I've got all of that in there. But yeah, the questions were kind of easy, but I mean, again, because these two aren't like regular competitors in the Schmoedown and everything, I could understand why they might have struggled a little bit. But even then, I still found Rosie's a little unexcusable. But overall, solid round 2 by Keaton is the point I'm trying to get at. I know I'm being a little long-winded here.
Dominic?
Yeah, like I said, Rosie definitely trying to screw over Keaton. Keaton proven way better in that category than I thought she was going to. I did not miss the Lauren Cohen question not because of the movie itself, because like I said, the fact that anybody could remember most of the stars outside the main one or anything from Batman versus Superman in general is a miracle, because at least for me, for my money, at least a lot of people go between that or Suicide Squad. And some people argue Justice League, but for my money, at least Batman versus Superman is still the worst movie in that entire failed experiment that is the DCEU.
I gotta go with Justice League on that, but
see, I still have a soft spot
for another day.
For the fact that it's more consistent and it's just schlocky and entertaining enough that I enjoyed it. But I go back and forth though about which movies Ben Affleck gave a worse performance in. I still hate him more in Batman versus Superman, but that's just me.
Oh, you're breaking my heart.
I know. I told you my opinions drive some people away. But no, so that one, I wasn't too turned off that she got it wrong, because it's like, yeah, I really got to think back, because remember a lot of these news stories, because most people don't remember the actual movies out there, remember the casting choice of which stars made the most headlines when they got cast, and I'm like, okay, I can understand. It's like the biggest thing they would probably only remember is it's a Walking Dead star, so and if they don't watch the show and aren't a diehard fan, they're not necessarily going to know the name. So that one didn't piss me off as much. But yeah, like I said, she did absolutely fantastic, especially considering that even though I thought those were easy questions, she still killed at both of them. So
definitely. So after round 2, Keaton had the lead at 13-10. She picked her numbers first: 3, 13, and 7. Rosie went with 1, 15, and 9. On Rosie's 2-pointer, her category was DCEU, and it was what character, or what is Floyd Lawton's, surname. She guessed Killer Croc, which I could not believe she didn't know was Deadshot.
Yeah. And
then on Rosie's 3-pointer, her category was Star Wars. Now, this was a very tough question, and I'm pretty certain I wouldn't have gotten it right. It was what planet's landmark include the North Ridge? Rosie guessed Tatooine, but the answer was Hoth. And then her 5-pointer, I might have gotten there. I'm not sure, but it was a category for villains. Who played Yuriko, a.k.a. Lady Deathstrike, in X-Men 2, X-Men United? she didn't even venture a guess. Just said, "See, this is the." She basically implied the fix is in. She didn't care, and so she loses the match. Keaton gets the win via TKO. James, I'll go to you. What were your overall thoughts on the match, and how impressed were you with Keaton's performance?
I was very impressed with Keaton's performance. She stayed very calm under pressure. She kept her cool. She got herself a lead. And, she didn't have to answer any questions in round 3, which I'm sure she was grateful for. As far as the questions that Rosie got, Floyd Lawton, I remember that he was named Deadshot not because of anything Will Smith did in that new movie, but because he was one of the best villains that showed up in the Arrowverse other than Deathstroke. That's just for my money. As far as the Hoth question, that was the one I was talking about earlier, where I used to play the Star Wars Monopoly game. Hoth, Northridge was one of the spaces you could purchase on that one, so that's the reason I remembered that one. Otherwise, I probably would have guessed Tatooine too. But yeah, as far as the X2 X-Men United question, I wouldn't have had any freaking clue on that one. Like I said, that's no discredit to the actress or anything. It's just I remember a handful of things from that movie. Who exactly that was is one of the ones that escapes me.
Absolutely. Haven?
It's on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my defense with the two ladies, if I played defense, excuse me, I don't know how many women find the DCEU popular, so yeah, she missed that two-pointer. I know it. Everybody knows it that reads comics, but she took a guess, and then she couldn't get the 3-point question, and then the 5-pointer, she just turned the tables and just said, hey, this shit's rigged. And that was a good mark out moment for me. I was like, oh, she just went full heel. So we don't know if she would have got 1 or 2 right, and it might have been a different night. Just she just was had enough at that point and just laid it out how it was, I guess. How she felt. Just showing that she's a true villain, a true heel in the league now.
Yeah. So let's get to the post-match interview. So we got Rosie in there. Oh, sorry, Dominic. My bad.
Yeah, pretty much not too much of a change of thought from you guys. Keaton did much better than I thought she did. Rosie going full heel. To me, like I said, most of the time whenever somebody during the game says that it's rigged, that's usually just as an excuse because they lost. It never really feels legitimate, so take that for what you will. And yeah, Keaton played great, and I hope that she only gets better as a competitor, because I'm not one of those guys that champion just like what's it called? That champion just like, oh, you completely suck. You should never play again. I only say that if a competitor has a string of losses and they don't continue to improve, like a Koijandro, like an Emma Fife, where I'm always willing for new competitors to come in and they may not play as well their first couple games, but as they continue to play, they improve as a player and they get better. That I am all in favor for. It's only when, like I said, you get a player like a Koijandro, like an Emma Fife, where they keep coming in and they've done a consistent amount of games where they don't do well, and those are the ones where I question, like, okay, why does he keep having them on? It can't be just from an entertainment factor. It can't be that entertaining to continually watch these people not only just lose, but also not even play well, like not even try and make an effort. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, Emma Fife does win. No, despite what Dominic would have you believe, she won the Manager's Bowl.
When her competitors are Finstock and Ricky and other people who can barely play, that's when she wins.
Well, Jay Washington isn't like a scrub. He's at least decent. He beat Robert Meyer Burnett, who was once the champion.
Robert Meyer Burnett, who won a whopping 2 matches and has since proven himself to be a very not skilled player at all. Like, honestly, looking back, that match against Navarro was really a fluke, because I think it was only that match only came down to the wire because of the amount of questions that Hector missed that one. And Hector's another one who has fallen very far since that title loss to Jason Inman. That seems to be a continuing trend in the Intergeekdom Championship, just overall, is that after the person loses the belt, they have a string of losses.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
I got you. I get defensive.
I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm just stating what I see.
Yeah, I don't know where Knight goes from here. Like, if there's more heels in the league, I could see her being the manager because she's a good mouthpiece. She talks her trash really well. Maybe she could join with somebody. Maybe KO brings her in. Maybe does something with her. But I don't know where she'll go from here. I mean, if she plays again, that'd be cool. But if she could get like, I don't know, be a manager or join a heel stable or something, you know, make her next move, that'll be interesting.
Well, Rosie's definitely going to play again because, as we've seen in that post match, you know, we have Patreon supporters show up. Matt Cruz, and he challenged her to a singles match. So we're going to see that match. I mean, I don't know when it'll air, but looks like it's going to happen, and we'll see if Matt Cruz is worth his salt coming into the league.
Yeah, that's funny. He just showed up looking
like a Patreon supporter join.
Oh, sorry. Was somebody going to go? Okay, I was going to say something. Dude,
go ahead. Go ahead, Haven.
I never seen him in any of the chats, so I'm not familiar with him. When he showed up, I thought they just pulled somebody off the streets. You know, he didn't have his best attire. You know, he just kind of showed up. Yeah, he challenged her. Not sure what type of match it'll be. It'll either be movies, IG.
It'll be singles.
Well, no shit, it'll be singles. But I mean,
it'll either be singles, like not IG.
Regular. Yeah, to my knowledge, there are no teams for IG yet.
Yes.
No, yeah.
No.
So if it's a movie match, I mean, Christian said he chatted with the guy and brought him in, and so hopefully the guys could prove himself. That'd be pretty cool to see a Patreon, you know, playing for the first time. So now we know who he is. We don't really know what he's about. It would have been cool if they had like a little interview with the guy, maybe like a 5-minute thing. Just, I don't know, maybe a 5 or 10-minute like interview with him so we get to know who he is. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see whenever that match goes up, because to be honest, I don't think that match is going to happen anytime soon.
To be fair, Haven, they might save that interview itself for when he actually does, when that first match does air. That way they can get an idea of who he is going into it, like they do for some of the other ones where they put like the pre-match hype before everything else, and then so that's probably what they'll do. But on a side note, Dominic, I'm surprised in your little rant over there you didn't include one of the losingest competitors ever, Tom Dagnino, the only man I know who picked up.
I mentioned him.
Yeah, he mentioned Bobby
Dagnino. To me, like there was no difference between those two personalities. It's the same idiot.
Man, fair enough. I didn't mention Finstock, but I was just talking about Dagnino.
No. You're good. You're good, Shimo. You're good. But everyone, the whole lot of them, like Meyer Burnett, Washington, Dagnino, all those friggin' idiots. At least Ricky had those. At least the thing I appreciate about Ricky is that he at least admitted that he's a terrible player. And like Coy started to get to that point. That's why I think after that last match, like Coy was finally realizing he was like, yeah, I'm not good at this. I'm not gonna keep going. You know, listen, I don't have anything against these guys personally. It's just like, again, you understand that you're on a show, and these are the types of things that come with it. And if you want to keep being on it without seeming like there's any nepotism involved, you got to have the skills to back it up. And if you don't have that, well, then I'm sorry. But
yeah, fair enough. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't like you lumping Emma Fyfe in there.
Yeah, in case you missed the memo.
Sorry, man.
Sorry,
man. I got to call it how I see it.
Yeah,
yep.
Chris has a huge crush on Emma Fyfe.
Oh, I'm aware. And hey, Chris, don't get me wrong. I have a huge crush on Miss Movies. The difference being that Miss Movies, from what I've seen, actually, I know she hasn't been playing as much, but from what I've seen, actually has the stuff to back up her competition. Actually has the stuff to back up. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, I can't dispute that. She won the free-for-all.
All right, let's keep the talk to a minimum.
Let's touch on another thing. Keaton dropped down in her interview that John Roca has been, kind of took her under his wing and was helping her out. I mean, is there any chance she could be joining the Horsemen? Any chance of that?
It's too bloated. They already got 5 people. They already made shirts. They're not going to change the shirts now. They already made shirts.
Yeah, I was going to go to that angle. They already made shirts, but
not to mention, I mean, they've already got the Intergeekdom champion in their ranks, Jason Inman. I don't know that they want to necessarily add another Intergeekdom competitor, at least at this level. But maybe down the line she can have just like a side association with them rather than just like they're friendly and talking. Like we see, like John Roca has that thing with Mance now, where it's a friendly rivalry, whereas it used to be like this big heated thing back when he was a heel and things like that. So it'll probably just end up being something like that for the long term.
Yeah. I mean, she's probably not going to join them. for all the reasons you guys said.
I actually
I don't
do.
see it happening.
I actually do have to bounce off here. I've actually got some stuff I got to take care of. Plus, I'm starting to get a bit of a migraine, so I'm probably going to take some medicine. Lay down here in a second.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much for having me, Chris.
Better.
I'm happy to be here. Like I said, I'd stick around longer if I'm just like I'm feeling like crap right now. But like I said, thanks for having me on, and I'll see you guys next time. All right.
You're good,
I
Shmo.
am definitely.
And Shmo, I'm
Gonna
still
be
waiting to
crazy
take you on
awesome
that
next
Iron Man matchup for animation.
Oh, absolutely. I'm never going to forget about that.
Anyway,
Anyways.
good. As long as you don't.
Peace. All right, so let's get into talk about the pre-match stuff and then the post-match. You know, we had Emma was talking on the phone with Sam Witwer. He was informing her that he was going to be unable to play at the Collision due to him booking a job. So that, and then we see the end of that play out. Emma goes into Thad's office, and she informs Thad that Sam is unable to play, and you know Thad's like, yeah, he's the face of the Star Wars League. We'll work around his schedule. Emma thinks everything's all good, and she leaves the office, and then all of a sudden, there's Kalinowski behind the door.
Yeah.
Telling Thad no, if Sam can't compete, he's stripped of the belt. Thad has to give in for reasons still unknown. Kalinowski's got something on Thad. So then Thad, he has to go inform Emma if Sam can't play, he's stripped of the belt. And that's that. Haven, I'll go to you. What were your thoughts on all that?
It's just Mike Kalinowski just being just being a little thorn on Thad's side. I know Thad, I don't know where the story's going to go, but I think I see Thad in a mental hospital after all this is said and done, man, with all the stress that he's, all the nerve-wracking stress that's happening right now. It was, it's good camera work, him hiding behind the door. What was he doing behind that door the whole time, It's kind of weird. You would think KO would have better things to do since he's corrupted now, but he wants to hang in Thad's office and pull some power moves, and then Thaddeus had to go run up to Emma, while she was on the phone with Sam again, and he gives her the bad news, and it seems like she's gonna join the Scooby-Doo mystery machine, because I think she's gonna or Nancy Drew, I think she's gonna go on the case and try to find out what's going on, because she's starting to realize something's not adding up with Thaddeus. So that was cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually back now, by the way. Sorry about that. I turned my camera off. I had to use the bathroom. No, so I think I honestly don't know what they're doing with Whitmer, because, again, we're not getting into this yet, but you have the thing with Damon and the other one where Damon's like, yeah, I'm not taking the belt unless I can actually play someone. So I'm not sure. My whole thing was that I thought they were building up, because remember, I don't buy into all the wrestling crap, but the thing is that I could have sworn that they were building up towards some kind of like big reveal, like, oh, the whole thing of like, oh, Whitmer can't make it, Whitmer can't make it, Whitmer can't make it, and then all of a sudden Whitmer makes a last-minute appearance at the Collision, because Christian's done stuff like that before, so I wouldn't be surprised. So if they're building up to something like that, but the stuff in terms of like, oh, it's just Kalinowski controlling Thad. It's like, yeah, I don't care. Kalinowski's a tool. I don't really like Thad as a commissioner so much. So it's like, my whole thing is like, okay, I could see it if Christian was making it so that like Kalinowski ends up controlling Thad, and then like at the spectacular at the end of the year, he like exposes Thad as being corrupt or whatever, and then it turns out to be like, that's Christian's plan to like becoming the commissioner again. I could see that happening. But overall, just like, yeah, it's whatever.
Oh, now C-Dub is gone.
Yeah, where'd C-Dub go?
I don't know. Maybe his phone overheated. Who did they end up? No, he's back. C-Dub.
Okay.
Hey, quick question. Who did they end up giving the Star Wars title to? I couldn't catch the name.
Well, we can go into that now. At the beginning of Friday, Thad was trying to just award Alex Damon the belt, but he didn't want to take it. He said he wants to earn it. So he's going to be facing Bruce Green at the Collision.
Hey, Evan, your microphone's off.
I know. Oh, okay. Because I thought, Yeah, because I thought, yeah, that's right. That's right. He tried to give the guy the belt, and the guy was like, no, I'm not down with that. You know, I'd rather win. So that was cool. That was amendable.
Yeah, I like Alex. Alex is cool.
Oh yeah. So okay, well we'll move on to Friday's matches now. We had a double header. We had two new teams here, kind of funny, taking on Funhouse. You know, we're kind of funny. We had seen Nick Scarpino in the league. He had yet to get a victories, and then his partner was Greg, and their Funhouse was James and Elise Williams. Avon, I'll go to you. I mean, did you have any thoughts? Like, who were you predicting to win? I mean, for me personally, I knew, obviously knew about Nick Scarpino, so I was picking kind of funny just on that basis alone. What were your thoughts going into the match?
I didn't realize he was on that team until after I drafted one of the teams to my fantasy league. So I just picked Funhouse, I think it was, because they had a female. It was a guy and a female. So I was like, oh, let's see what they do. And then when I realized Nick Scarpino was on the other team, I was like, oh, okay. He was the only one I recognized from that group. So yeah, I just kind of flipped the coin and picked one team, and put that team for my fantasy league. So I didn't really know what to expect out of any of these people.
Yeah. Dominant.
Kind of funny, surprised the hell out of me. Like I said, I saw the Scarpino Makuga match, but honestly, I was rooting for them because like I usually judge it from like round one. I can usually tell like whether a new team is going to be like actually worth their stuff or whether they're just talking a big game and they're mostly just jokes and not be taken seriously. But kind of funny, surprised the hell out of me. I kind of wasn't a big fan of the fact of because they're gamers, they made all the round one questions video game based questions. Or I'm like, that's funny, but yeah, no, kind of funny, surprised the hell out of me. And I actually really enjoyed watching them play because they're one of the few people who they're nonstop shutting up and doing nothing but talking trash, but they do it in a fun and entertaining way. And I haven't seen that from a team in a very long time. So I appreciated that.
Oh yeah. So let's get into this first round. Nick got 5 out of his 8 questions right. Greg got 6 out of 8. And then James, he got 4. And Elise, she also got 4. Kind of funny was up 11-8. Yeah, these questions they were different, and I was surprised at how they were a little tougher than I would have thought, especially for 2 debuting teams. I've never actually seen Labyrinth, so I didn't know that Jim Henson directed it. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but documentary has never been a category in any round.
First time I've seen it.
Yep.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, I mean that category surprised me. Like, Dominic? What were your thoughts on that first round?
Like I said, just don't remember much about the questions. Wasn't a big fan of the fact that they were all like based on video game questions, but for the most part, those guys, I was really impressed with how they did. Zachary, what was the documentary question again?
Say that again.
What was the documentary question? Like, what was the actual question itself?
What was the documentary about? Breaking the score for Donkey Kong.
Yeah, like that was a documentary. Like, I don't claim to know a lot about documentaries, like because really the only like documentaries that I know are like the really notable ones, like the one about the making of Apocalypse Now, the Room 211 or whatever the one is about The Shining, and because like I don't watch documentaries as consistently as I do narrative films, but like the fact that most of them got that right was incredible. And like I said, Funhouse, kind of funny, clearly showed that they were the stars of this game, the entire game, not just this first round. But Funhouse, they picked up the strides a little bit because like the girl half of that kind of proved that she had me worried after that first question, which she missed, which I think was she missed like a Tropic Thunder question along the way, which anybody missing a question on Tropic Thunder takes a dig because that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And there
wasn't a Tropic Thunder question.
There wasn't. Okay, I'm crazy then. I'm just thinking of I must be thinking of like a different game or a different round or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was when I watched this match, I think I started like at 12 at night, or it was almost 12, I think, when I started this the double header. And I was already into my stuff, so I was I was yeah, that's one thing that I'm glad that that Dominic pointed out, because that threw me off. Like I said, I only watched these two matches one time, and it was I don't think I finished watching these until like almost 2 in the morning. So it threw me off because at first I was like, is this an IG tag match? I was like, why so many video game questions? And the documentary question threw me off because I was like, who the hell would get that? And some of them got it, which I was like,
Damn, right?
I don't know what year that documentary came out. I don't know who directed it. I don't know if they ever showed it in theaters. So that one really was a weird question to be in a match, but it was in the round one, so it was kind of a throwaway. So that wasn't too bad. But yeah, that round one was funky. But both teams respected each other and they were having a good time. So it really made the match fun.
Definitely. So yeah, so kind of funny. They were up 11-8. They spun first. They spun video game movies, and I was surprised that they actually took it. And they played pretty well. They got 4 out of 6 for 8 points. Funhouse was able to capitalize on 1 or 2 steals for 1 point. I mean, how well did you guys do? I mean, I would have done okay. I mean, I knew the kind of funny, they had to go multiple choice on the how many Resident Evil films there were. I knew there were 6. They got it wrong, and then Funhouse also got it wrong. They guessed 5 and 7 respectively. Haven, how well did you do on those video game movies?
Oh, I did fairly well. The Resident Evil one, I like that franchise is a guilty pleasure of mine. So, I was like, 6. And then, they didn't get that one. I was shocked. But yeah, once those movies start going, you kind of try to remember the names, the subtitles. So it was like, or the little, catchphrase names for them and shit. So, but yeah, those questions, like I said, it was a lot of video game questions. I mean, they landed on it, but I don't remember that being on the slice of the wheel. So that might be something new that they're doing now with video games. But I could have sworn they asked like 3 video game questions in the first round, and then for them to get video game questions in the second round, and they played all right. I probably would have got 4 out of 6 right, without going to multiple choice. But that's just me. But they kept it going. They got a lot right, and the other team only got 1 steal, so they were still kind of down when it was their turn. So
yeah. Dominic?
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I know why they went with video game questions is because they're 2 primarily gamer teams. That's how they made their mark on the internet. So it would make sense why they went is like, because that's kind of like the theme of that overall match. And I was shocked that I got most of them because I traditionally most video game movies are movies associated with video game movies, because now apparently I love how in the last couple of years that just genre has grown, whereas before it was just exclusively movies that were adaptations of currently existing video games. But now that's kind of grown, and so now a movie doesn't, for a movie to qualify for that category, it doesn't necessarily have to be a direct adaptation of an already existing video game, but it can also be a movie that has video game elements in it, even if it's not a direct adaptation, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like Wreck-It Ralph, which is technically now a video game movie, even though it's not a direct adaptation of everything. So I kind of appreciate that, because I remember I got The Wizard right, which nobody would think The Wizard is a video game movie, but because it has video game elements in it, you can understand that. And like the documentary, it's all about Donkey Kong, so that makes sense. And then, man, I really wish I could remember these specific questions, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Well, another one was crap. Who voiced Mario in Super Mario World? That was
right. Who played Mario in the Super Mario Bros. Which again, if it's a primarily video game movies, then you can't possibly get through without having a question about that movie. And fun fact, I just think the director of that movie retired from making movies after that film because of how much of a bomb it was. And yeah, look it up. I think it's a true story. And then yeah.
So then Funhouse, they take their turn, and they get a category, a slice on there that I'm sure had never been there before, and they picked it because they talked about Jim Henson, and they spun Jim Henson, and they went 4 out of 6 for 8 points. Kind of funny. They were able to get 1 out of 2 steals for 1 point. I mean, I don't know Jim Henson, but yeah, they were incredibly tough for me. But Elise, she played pretty damn well in that category, I gotta say.
Yeah, if I don't mind going after
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
sure.
yeah, some of these, I guess, I didn't know that they were gamer teams, so maybe that makes sense now, thinking back on the match. But yeah, I guess they just put most of their strengths on the wheel because Jim Henson, video games, those weren't never really on the wheel before. Maybe they're just adding new categories for the season, which is nice. But yeah, they played well. Yeah, she played really strong. Like as soon as the first question was asked, she was like, boom, got it right. So I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, all right, they're back in it. I had a feeling that they were going to get back in it, and they played well. It sucks. I can't remember none of their names, but I apologize for that.
Yeah, the only name I remember is
James and
Scorpino.
Elise were Funhouse. Nick and Greg were kind of funny.
Mm.
Dominic?
No, I was just saying how, in terms of names, Scarpino's the only one that I remember.
What are your thoughts?
What were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the Jim Henson category?
Oh, the Jim Henson category. Duh, sorry. It was good. I was not expecting for them to get as many questions right as they did, though, especially because like a Jim Henson, I didn't even think that was a category that you could put that many questions into. But hey, I mean, if you're gonna make it mostly Muppets movies, I actually think the only question that I got right from that. No, sorry, I got two questions right from them. Right, I got the Labyrinth question right because I remember the brother's name was Toby because that's one of my friends from school's favorite movie ever. And the other one that I got right was the Muppets 2 question because that was Tina Fey because I remember seeing Tina Fey from the trailers. But other than that, like I said, I didn't think that was a category that you could do very much with. And then for them to do as well as they did, like I said, more power to them.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got any of them right because I've never seen a single Muppet movie. So yeah, going into round 3, kind of funny was up 20-17. They picked their numbers 2, 16, and 13. Funhouse goes with 3, 11, and 6. But Greg, he had some fun with picking that last number. Kept picking numbers above 20, and but they ultimately settled on 13. So we get the Funhouse's 2-pointer. Elise decides to take that one. The category was Tom Hanks. It was, what was the other franchise where Tom Hanks plays a role more than once? She got it correct. It was Toy Story. So then we go to James, the 3-pointer action adventure. It was what is the limousine driver's name in Die Hard? He guessed Christmas, which I guess isn't a terrible guess because the movie was set during Christmas, but the answer was Argyle. So then they get down to their 5-pointer, and I gotta admit, I would have fallen prey to this question as well. It was category 90s movies. Who plays the eccentric wedding coordinator's assistant? I would have guessed Martin Short. I was guessing Martin Short, but the actual answer was B.D. Wong. And kind of funny they get the 20-19 TKO. Dominic, what were your thoughts on the entire match?
Well, just in terms of round 3, so I thought the Toy Story question was a fairly easy one because it's Tom Hanks. Even though you think you know him, he really only has been in 2 franchises. The Toy Story and the Ron Howard Angels and Demons one. I don't know if that trilogy has like an official name. But then the second one, the Argyle, that one I was a little bit shocked at because even if you don't remember that specific fact, that's a question that's been asked before. Like I specifically remember them asking that question multiple times in previous Schmoedown matches. And then the last question, which was, oh man, I literally just heard you say it, C-Dub. Why am I drawing a blank on it? The last question, which was
who played the eccentric wedding coordinator assistant?
Yeah, I definitely would not have known that, especially because that tripped me up at first because I thought it was Martin Short at first before I actually read the question and was like, who is the wedding planner's assistant? I'm like, no, but Martin Short was the wedding planner. And I didn't, outside of Martin Short, Steve Martin, and like the wife and daughter, who I don't remember the actresses' names of, I'm like, yeah, okay, so it's not him. And so I knew they were going to get it wrong because I knew they were going to get tripped up by it and think Martin Short, which they did. So like I said, I'm glad that Kind of Funny won because I was rooting for them. And but yeah, it could have happened to anyone. Like any, so not exactly a total loss.
Yeah. Haven?
I don't remember the Die Hard question before. I would have got that wrong. I was like, who the hell's gonna remember who the limo driver was? So
I remember that
No,
question
that's
being asked
definitely
many,
been
many
question
times
before Haven. I can guarantee for sure.
oh yeah, well, that was one I would have missed, and the 5-pointer I would have missed too, because what's the movie? You keep saying the question, but you don't always leave out the
Father
end.
of the Bride.
Oh yeah, who plays the eccentric wedding coordinator's assistant in Father of the Bride?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that. Yeah, so it was the luck of the draw. You know, she got her 2-point right. If he would have got his 3-pointer right, it would have kicked back to the other team, but he didn't. He had to go to the 5-pointer, and they both got it wrong. So that sucks, you know. But that's how the third round goes sometimes, you know. So you know, it's always kind of tricky when it comes to the third round, because if it would have went back to the other team, who knows what could have happened. But that's how it works.
Yeah,
But they
and
both played. They were
and
both fun teams, you know, to watch.
yeah, and to answer your question, Dominic, the mother and daughter in the film were played by Diane Keaton and Kimberly Williams.
Diane Keaton. All right, let's get to the main event.
Yeah, let's go to Bateman versus Mance. Yes.
Yeah, so Ben Bateman taking on Scott Mance. We knew this was going to be a great match. You know, there had been so much shit talk between the two. And something I want to touch on, you know, before we get into the actual match. Bateman had Thad come out and sign something saying that I'm guessing if Bateman won, his face will replace Scott Mance on movie release date Slice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how this plays into it and all, but Mike Kalinowski earlier today made a post saying that will not happen. There will be no change, switching of the guard from Mance to Bateman. Bateman has to earn it because Mance already has. So I guess that's actually not going to happen now. We'll have to see how that actually plays out. So yeah, Kalinowski's dipping his toe in that water, keeping Bateman.
He's gonna keep messing around, and Team Action's gonna chop him down to bits, brother. You don't want no part of that. But yeah, I seen that post on Facebook where he posted that. That's where everybody could go check out what KO Ruption is trying to do. I don't know, he's like the little cousin, you know, when it comes over during the holidays and you're forced to play with him, but you don't play with him because you're too old, so he kind of hangs around. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but he's failing miserably. And then I think he's gonna put his own face on a slice, I guess, for 007. You know, he better enjoy this while it lasts, because once this whole storyline ends, he's gonna be forgotten like he was before, just another scrub that thinks he's better than he is in the Schmoedown.
Wow, way to not have any passive aggressive feelings towards his comments, Haven.
Oh no, not at all.
So yeah, well, I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole scenario, Dominic?
Oh, well, just in terms of the Bateman-Mance situation, just talking about the match in general, I thought Mance played the best that he's played in a while, because Mance
Well, I mean, let's hold off on that. I mean, on the slice first.
Oh, just the slice thing? Again, it's a thing where Mance has just had that mantra for so long that I feel like for Bateman to come in and take it, it's more of a thing of just beating him. It's a thing of Mance has made it's not just a thing of in this competition. Mance has made his reputation, not just in the Schmoedown, but just on the internet in general, is that he is the guy who knows his release dates. So for Bateman to just come in and upstage him, as much as I dislike Kalinowski, I do kind of have to agree with him on little bit. That's not something that you could just take in a one victor type of thing. That's something that you would have to earn and build the way that Mance built his reputation around that. So that's why I would say, yeah, for nothing else, I don't think that's going to happen, because it's that's Mance, not just a trademark like Finstock does with the mask that you can just take away. So it's so much more than that. It basically defines Mance's characteristics and everything that he puts forward in both the Schmoedown and just what he's done. So that's why I say, yeah, that Bateman's face will not be on that slice anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in complete agreement. I'm a big fan of Bateman, but if you want to have your face on that slice, you got to play Scott Mance in a movie release dates match, and you got to beat him
Exactly.
to get your face on there. That should
And
be the
not just
way to
once
do
either.
it.
Like that, that's a more than one. That's a consistent kind of thing. It can't just be like a one match over with. I'm talking like either a championship 5-round, an Iron Man, something sort of special type match that clearly defines, no, you are better than the guy who has staked his entire reputation on the fact that he has an eidetic memory when it comes to movie release dates.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I think you could throw Sam Levine in there, and he could give both of them a run.
Yeah, Sam Levine's Sam Levine's just crushing it all around though.
Yeah, they mentioned that on Facebook also on the Schmoedown page of Sam Levine, they should do a 3-way match, but I think they kind of shoehorn that in out of nowhere. It's like, I guess Bateman is pretty good with movie release dates, but I mean that's Scott Mance's stick. I mean,
like it would have made sense if it would have made more sense if Bateman was like coming after him and like had made his reputation on the fact that he like knows his movie release dates really well. But to my knowledge, he's never really done that. So that's why it felt really out of place.
Yeah.
No, he's actually he's played pretty damn well in movie release dates. I will say I do remember that.
See, I'm not saying that I'm sure he's great with movie releases. I'm just saying that, like, okay, you mean to tell me that Bateman is done exactly like what Mance did? Just like, no, I know movie release dates. I know movie release dates. So like every single second that he can show up, just like, oh, this movie came out on this day, this date, in this year, like exactly like that. No, to my knowledge, Bateman has never done anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
agree. He hasn't been that dominant, but he has played pretty damn well.
Yeah, he's played well in them before, but I mean, it just seems shoehorned in and out of place. I don't know what he had Thaddeus sign or Thad, but it just that's Scott Mance's slice, man. I mean,
yeah,
he even has he even has the catchphrase. Every time somebody hits that slice, they always say it. We all say it too when we watch it. We all just do the Scott Mance voice and do the movie release dates.
Yeah, right.
Scott Mance is,
All right, so let's get into this first round. They both came out swinging. Ben, he got his first 6 questions correct. He ended up missing when question 7 was who played the love interest in Rear Window. Answer was Grace Kelly. And but yeah, they both played strong. They both went 7 out of 8. I think this is like Bateman's 3rd or 4th match in a row where he's gotten 7 out of 8. I mean, Haven, what were your thoughts on that first match?
Oh, the first round? Oh man,
first round. Sorry.
Scott Mance is always a strong competitor. It just depends on where his mind is, and his mind was locked in this match, so it was good to see him. Because if he's not focused, sometimes he just kind of slips up on things that you think he would know, because we've seen him plenty of times before. But we got the real deal, Scott Mance, that showed up, so that was a plus. And Ben Bateman, man, like people want to hate on him because he's a villain, but he's proven that he knows his stuff, man. Like that dude. Like I ain't gonna lie, I was a little worried at first because like Scott Mance just doesn't have too many single matches. He's played more team matches than he has singles with Inman. I can't even tell you the last person he played singles. Like the match everybody remembers is him versus John Roca. But so I was a little nervous for Ben. But Ben just showing that he's a strong ass competitor, man, and I'm glad that he's progressing up instead of down.
Yeah. And real quick, I think Scott Mance has had the same amount of teams as singles matches, because after this match, he's 2-5, and I think that might be something close to what Trek's record is. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, but he played John Roca, what, 3 times? Did they do?
Yeah, him and Roca played each other 3 times.
Yeah, so other than that, like I can't even tell you the last person besides Roca that he played.
He also played Hal Rudnick.
Oh yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I still remember the first 3 ever matches that they did once they like made the Schmoedown like an official thing on Collider.
Yep.
Campy and Merle was the first one.
Yeah, Campy and Merle, and then it was Mance and Roca for the first time, and then it was Hal and Levine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so after round 1, they were tied up at 7. Ben elected to defer to Mance, and Mance had a nice little jab saying, why is Ben favored in this match? And then Mance spun movie release dates, and I loved his jab at Bateman's like, it's over, motherfucker. That shit was amazing, and he Mance did pretty well. He went 3 out of 4 for 6 points. The only one he missed on was what year did Evil Dead come out? He guessed 92. Ben missed on a potential steal. He guessed 86. The answer was 81. I mean, I'm sure none of us are surprised he did pretty well with movie release dates, right?
Yep.
Not even like a surprise there. Although I was kind of shocked that he got the Evil Dead one wrong. My only question is that I'm like, well, Army of Darkness came out in 92, so he must have been thinking of Army of Darkness and not the first Evil Dead, because I feel like that one, like the first Evil Dead, that's too easy a question for him to miss up on.
Yeah, they actually referenced that in the match about Army of Darkness.
Yeah, so that's probably what it was.
So then Ben, he spins Spinner's Choice, and he picks Oscars, and he does pretty much the same. He goes 3 out of 4 for 6 points. Although there was a little bit of controversy on question 2. It was, what was the last film that Tom Hanks was nominated for an Oscar? And he guessed Captain Phillips, and I thought Captain Phillips. I thought he was nominated for that film, but ultimately, he challenged it, but it wasn't. It was Castaway. I mean, I thought for sure he was nominated for Captain Phillips, but he wasn't.
Yeah, I think people get it confused because the other guy, the villain, I think was nominated.
Yeah, Barkat Abdi was nominated for that movie, not Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks got the Golden Globe and the Screen Actors Guild Award nomination. I knew that answer, but again, that's only because like I'm a diehard Oscar fan. Like after my 3 primary strengths, which are animation, movie release dates, and superheroes, I would say Oscars is up there for me because like I know my shit, and I knew that like Hanks has only been nominated 5 times. It's Big, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan, and Castaway for acting at least.
Yeah. And then also, go ahead, Haven.
Oh no, I'll wait till you're done.
And then on question 3, we got the question was what film famously beat Citizen Kane for Best Picture at the Oscars, and Ben was playing that moment up, stalling, and Mance knew it. I thought it was a pretty good acting job by Bateman, but he got the question right.
Yeah, Bateman fooled me. I did not think he was going to get that.
Yeah, you never know with those guys. Oscars is one of my weakest things. I don't watch the Oscars. It's even the Schmoedown Collider, they talk about it, how it's not really diverse enough in some categories. It's just to see people winning awards for getting paid. It's
schmaltzy, and it's not really that relevant anymore, but it's fun for trivia and competition, and like just in terms of like awards bracketing, the competition of it is what really makes it, at least in the groups and circles that I'm in.
Yeah, it's just one thing I've never watched. I've never watched the full Oscars. That's even as a kid.
I watched it a couple times. I watched it the year Heath Ledger won his Oscar for The Dark Knight. I watched it the year when DiCaprio got his Oscar for The Revenant.
And of course, everybody knows about the infamous Moonlight La La Land scandal.
Yep.
Just because that dumbass was too busy tweeting out photos of Emma Stone instead of doing his goddamn job.
All right.
I'm so glad they fired him. That enraged me.
Wait, who was that?
Well, you didn't hear about that whole thing?
Who got fired?
The Price Waterhouse guy who was responsible for handing out the envelopes after he handed out the wrong envelope to Warren and Faye. And that was so funny when I saw them on screen the year after when they were handing out the thing for The Shape of Water. They were just like, oh, you could see they didn't make a joke about it, but they were both just saying like, oh man, we hope this is right this time. And so that was funny to watch. But yeah, no, that guy, like, he got fired immediately. Like there was no way they were keeping him around. He had one job to do. All he had to do was hand out envelopes, and he couldn't even get that right.
Damn. All right.
So yeah, after round 2, we still had a tie game, 13-all. Bateman picks his numbers 3, 7, and 17. Mance goes with 5, 10, and 15 because he likes 5 and multiples of 5. And we get Mance's 2-pointer.
Star Trek numbers.
Oh yeah. Mance's 2-pointer was the category 2000s. It was named the action film released in 2000 that stars Brad Pitt and Robert Redford. He gets that. Spy Game. So we bounce it back over to Bateman's 2-pointer. It was named the film where Matthew McConaughey agrees to have his real life filmed. It was Ed TV.
Yep.
Bouncing back to Mance, his 3-pointer was for 80s movies. It was named the film where Eric Stoltz plays a deformed character. The answer was Mask. I'm a big fan of that film, by the way. So then we bounce it back over to Bateman for his 3-pointer. It was category of war. It was who plays the Command Master Chief John James Ergale in G.I. Jane. Bateman guessed Aaron Eckhart, but in fact the answer was Viggo Mortensen. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised he missed that. So then we go to Bateman's 5-pointer category Oscars. It was name 2 of the 3 films that won for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay at the Oscars. Bateman, he pulls it out, gets Silence of the Lambs and One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. Then we bounce it back to Scott Manch's 5-pointer category Fantasy Sci-Fi. It was in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. What English character actor and Harry Potter vet plays Professor Kirk, who takes in the Pevensey children? He guessed Richard Harris. The answer was Jim Broadbent. And Bateman, he escapes with a 20-18 victory over Mance. What were you guys, Haven, your thoughts on that 3rd round in the match?
Scott Mance's first 2 questions I knew those. They were kind of easy. Ben Bateman's first question was easy. I knew that one in the 3rd round. You know, you guys can believe me or not, but sometimes I do know questions and answers. So, because I actually I wrote a question from that movie, so I was like, oh shit. So I was like, that's cool. But then I was surprised. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have been, but that Oscar one I would have never got. You know, I was like, holy shit. You know, but he pulled that one off, man. And then the Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe one I went and got, and for Scott Mance, that's not a movie he probably went to see again. I mean, he probably got a pass to watch it since he's a big-time Hollywood guy, but he probably never watched those movies unless he has little children and a family. Like, I personally wouldn't go back and watch those movies because they fucking sucked. So I could understand him missing that one. And the 5-pointer, I would have missed that one also. So, or the G.I. Jane one, I watched that when it first came out and never revisited that movie. So I had no clue of who the actor was. That one stumped me.
Well, I'm sure you heard Scott Mance. He said that he's seen that film, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and he fell asleep. He hated it.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I was like, yeah, the G.I. Jane question I wouldn't have got. I didn't know that one. I was like, fuck. You know, because, she's running around, at boot camp and there's so many male actors and it's just her. So I was like, you could have guessed any person, any older actor at the time to be, the sergeant or commander or whatever the fuck the question was. That was a hard one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, I knew Ben's 2 and his 3-pointer. His 5-pointer with the Oscars, I knew Silence of the Lambs was one of them. And I was debating in my head if One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest, because I knew one for director, picture, actor, and actress, but I wasn't sure if it won for screenplay. I might have gone with it, but I'm not sure. But I did know Silence of the Lambs was one of them.
Nah, I drew a blank. I had no idea. Oh, that's why it shocked me that Ben. Well, I guess I shouldn't have shocked me because he had Oscars earlier and he did really well in that one. But that question, I couldn't think of anything. I was like, I have no clue. But yeah, I'm done.
Dominic?
Yeah. So with Bateman, Mance, and Bateman going back and forth to those first 2. I was like, yeah, okay, get that. That's fine. But the minute that Bateman got that 5-pointer, I was like, okay, Mance is gonna have to nail this one because that was impressive. Because I knew that because I'm an Oscar nut, so I knew that in terms of first off, I didn't remember that there was a 3rd movie that got the big 5. I only knew about Silence of the Lambs and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I forgot about the 3rd one, which is It Happened One Night for anybody that is interested. But Yeah, the minute that Bateman got that, I was like, "Oh, damn!" And then when Mance got the Chronicles of Narnia question, Bateman's win. Which, hey, and I resent that statement because even though I agree those movies are not the best movies, but come on, the first movie literally came out 2 years after Return of the King. Like there was no way that movie was not going to get flack for being a Lord of the Rings comparison. But for the source material that's based off and for the film that we ended up getting, I still think it's good. Besides, the first one is still a freaking masterpiece compared to those two sequels. But yeah, for me, like I said, that the make or break of that question was Bateman getting that Oscar one, which he nailed. So, like I said, props to him just for getting that question right.
Now you're the Oscar guy here, Dominic, and I'm not sure on this, but was Forrest Gump the third film to get all those wins?
No, it was not.
No.
Forrest Gump only took home 4 out of those 5. It did not take home the Best Actress that year. That went to Jessica Lange for a movie called Blue Sky. It took home picture, director, actor, and adapted screenplay because Pulp Fiction took home original screenplay. Now, the third film that took those big 5, that being picture, director, actor, actress, and screenplay, was a movie called It Happened One Night. It came out in 1934 with Clark Gable, and Claudette Colbert, I believe, was the actress. I've actually seen it. It's a very good movie.
Huh. Never even heard of it.
Good movie. You should check it out one time, especially if you want to get into like older classic cinema. It's one of those gems from the 30s and 40s that still hold up to this day. I'd also recommend Bringing Up Baby for any Cary Grant fan because that movie is freaking hilarious and freaking spectacular.
Definitely. Alrighty, well, if you guys are ready, we can, we already, we can, yeah, we'll, in the post-match interview, Jen was, interviewing Ben. He was happy with the win, and he's saying to Jen, if you want to set something up with my assistant, I'll be glad to. Andrew ended up showing up, and, Ben, Jessica had a nice little jab at Ben, calling him Andrew. And then we had Roka and Riley showing up. And they started beginning their smack talk, prepping for their match. I mean, that's going to be a great match. I mean, if Bateman is legit and is going to compete for a title soon, what kind of chance do you guys give him against Roka? This is going to be a hard match for me to pick who I think is going to win.
For me, it all depends on the types of questions that they get. Because we've seen easy questions and we've seen really hard questions. And if they pull out the types of questions like, if we're talking Roka here, I'm talking Western questions like your Jane Fonda ones. And that's going to be, like I said, I think Roka really is the perfect competitor to prove if Bateman does actually have the stuff to back up him going all the way to the champ and like making it into that upper echelon in order to compare with some of the top tier single players. I'm talking your Merles, your Levines, and all your other guys. So like I said, this match, I can't say yet because, like I said, he played a fantastic match against Mance. He's been doing very well for himself in the singles so far, kind of differentiating himself from the whole team action thing. But he's definitely still got a long way to go before he can really consider himself to have a real shot at the title and be in that upper echelon of singles players.
Yeah, I can't believe those Horsemen bastards want to come and hog some screen time from Ben Bateman's win, and his partner Andrew, the greatest player of all time guy, came out to congratulate him, and here comes these no good Horsemen to rain on their parade. The old guys, they need to be took out the barn, just put down, take them out. They're already old, they're done. But they're trying to go against the youth, and I see Ben, man. I think the good thing about Ben, I've never spoken to him yet, but him and Andrew Guy, I think they're taking this very seriously. I think that they're going out and watching these movies and maybe quizzing each other, and they're just getting better. Like JTE, he used to be a big joke in the league, ever since the last season started, and JTE just started watching more movies and just got better and better and better. So it kind of reminds me of that with Bateman. Andrew Guy, we have to see what happens when he plays his singles match next, which he's going to have a monumentous challenge. But both of these guys, man, they're moving in the right direction, so I'm proud of them.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's get into this week's matches. On Tuesday we got a number one contenders match between Jeff Snyder and the Beast William Bibiani. Now, people who know me know I'm not a fan of the Lions Den. I rag on them whenever I can. But I'm taking Jeff Snyder in this match. Bibiani is a great first round player. He played fantastic at the free throw. I take nothing away from him. But until he shows me he can finish in the third round, I'm going to continue to underestimate him in the singles. But that's just me.
I completely agree. I'm going with Jeff Snyder. Jeff Snyder is a wealth of movie trivia knowledge. Yeah, he's cocky, and he's a heel. I do like him as a on-screen character. The Lions Den, some of those guys I don't like, but I do like Jeff Snyder. Bibiani, I mean, all he does is growl, but I mean, that dude just can't finish, man. I mean, that must be disappointing after a date, because that dude just
low blow, Haven, low blow. That dude's married. Come on, guy.
That's what say. I don't go too personal. That was just a joke. I don't want to get into it.
I'm one of those guys that I keep competition out of it and just going into it beforehand. I always go for my favorites regardless of how well they do, unless they're really terrible. So I always go Bibiani because Bibiani proved to be a good player, and like I said, it really is a 50-50 shot with him in terms of winning or losing. And I definitely think his first match debut against Ed Draco really didn't do him any favors in the long run because they just set him up so well as being this top tier player, and then he gets knocked out by Jake. Well, there goes that. But I just don't like Snyder enough as a personality to the point where even if he does have the stuff to back up all of his trash talk, I'm still I'll always root. You a bull knocked him out, which is always the funniest thing to me about Snyder. So,
hey, you gotta love to hate him, and these guys are playing the characters well. So if people are rooting against him, they're doing it.
So I go Bibiani. I don't care if I end up being wrong because I like Bibiani more. He's funnier. He's better with his character, and he's not as much of an asshole. So,
oh yeah, I mean Bibiani's awesome, but if I'm, I pick on these matches, so I got to go with from what I've seen, and like I said, yeah, Bibiani played great in the free throw. He really did, but he still came up short. Brienne came in there and she won that thing. Yeah, he lasted a long time, but he didn't finish the job.
Here's the thing, though. See, the whole reason why, and again, I love Miss Movies, and I really want her to compete more, and I can't wait until she takes a step back into the ring and starts kicking ass, just like she was with Stacey about a year ago. But my whole thing with her in the free for all, and why I don't give the whole advantage to her, is again, it's the same thing that happened with Levine last year against Finstock, where they really only won because they came at the last minute and just happened to have all the questions go in their favor. That's why it's even though they won, I still give them more so the props to Bibiani and Irwin and the guys who made it through, especially because I'm pretty sure Bibiani and Irwin lasted longer in this match than any of the players did in the first free-for-all. So
I mean, you're right. Bibiani went 20. Bibiani went 21 rounds. Irwin went 15. But remember, the same as in sports, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And Brienne, different from Sam, she played in 5 rounds.
You're right. No, you're right. And especially considering Sam's last opponent was Finstock of all people, or whatever you want to call it. So.
And she got 4 right in every single round.
So I agree. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from her. I want her to come back because I really think she was being too hard on herself when she quit because she is still a kick-ass player. And it's proved to be out of all the, honestly, in terms of just female players in the league, because before that, I would say before her and Clark showed up and they really started pushing more female players in the league, the only good one was, before her and Rachel showed up, the only good female player in the league, and really the only overall female player in the league was Clark. So Brienne and Rachel Brienne was part of that first wave that showed me just no, females can be just as males. I'm not sexist or anything. I'm just saying that beforehand there wasn't any proof that there were a lot of good female players because there just weren't that many female players.
That's true.
Oh, absolutely. I get what you're saying.
That's my 2 cents on that. I point being Miss Movies. I love what you're doing, but please, I want to see you come back into this match, and I want to see you kick ass again because you showed in the free for all that you're still a kick ass competitor and that you haven't lost any of your stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. So let's get into this collision. Now, we know we have 5 matches. We got the team championship, above the line, taking on the Patriots. That's going to be an Iron Man match. We got Rachel Cushing taking on Eric Zipper and IG. We got the Star Wars championship, Alex Damon taking on Bruce Green. We got the triple threat between Janine the Machine, Philip Reactor, and close friend of mine, taking on Stacey Howard and Mark Andraco. And then, oh crap, why am I blank on the other match? What's the other match we got?
Match?
Say that again?
Is it a number 1 contenders match? I don't remember because, like I said, I got kicked off the page, so I don't know. I don't keep track of any of this stuff.
That match is Tuesday.
Okay.
Why am I blanking on the other match here? Teams.
Oh, is it? Wait, is that when Andrew Guy's gonna play?
Oh yeah.
Guy versus Merle.
Andrew Guy and Dan Merle. Now, first,
that's gonna be a fun match.
Before we get to the matches that are confirmed, I wanna speculate on something here. Now, Christian Harloff, he had previously stated that since Sam would be at the collision, him and Drew were going to defend the team belts. He would not make him defend the singles belt. What chance, if any, do you guys give of Brianne Chandler challenging Sam for that singles belt? Do you think it will happen?
100% guarantee, especially because that's the match. Last year's collision, that was where Merle won back his champ belt from Roca and Levine challenged him, right? Or no, I'm thinking of a different match. I don't remember if that was last year's collision or not.
No, when Merle won the title back, that was in that triple threat with Riley.
Okay, that's right. That's right, with Riley and Roca, and then afterwards Sam challenged him, and they went toe to toe for another champ match, and he beat him.
Yeah. So you definitely think it'll happen? Cause I believe it too.
100%, absolutely. Now that you say that, I'm like, absolutely, and that would be the perfect opportunity for Miss Movies to make her comeback, which they've been building towards ever since the free for all.
Yep, we've discussed that up here before, but yeah, I 100% agree. Storyline, it makes perfect sense. Since he already backed out and was like, oh, I can't do 2 matches, blah blah. He's playing an Iron Man match, so that means his brain's going to be pretty much fried after just shooting off all those questions. Because an Iron Man match, the timer's faster. There's no break, there's no spinning, there's no multiple choices, just boom, boom, boom. Well, I mean, they might have to throw multiple choices, but depends what route they go. He's still going to have to.
There's no multiple choice in the Iron Man match.
He's going to have to answer a lot more questions in an Iron Man match than in a regular team match, because
especially just look at my just look at my match with Jay Grant and Dustin for previous experience.
So I think she's gonna cash in and she's gonna beat him, man, because he's just gonna be too tired and too fried, and I think she's gonna swoop in and be the first female champion. I think she's gonna take that belt.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
but then that's gonna prove for Sam to take it back, because Sam will fight his way right back to the top for the spectacular at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll redeem himself, maybe he won't, but there's gonna be a lot of moving parts and people, especially with Merle back and all these other people. So who knows if he will get the chance to challenge for the belt again if he loses. But I definitely think she's gonna cash in.
Well, I'll say this: if this does happen, and Sam loses the belt, I believe Sam should be due an automatic rematch. He's defended it a few times already against Clark and Rachel. I think he's earned to at least get a rematch if he does, in fact, lose the belt to Brianne.
Do they have rematch clauses?
Well, above the line, and Patriots did.
Yeah, you're
Patriots, right. I mean, yeah, the Patriots held the belt a lot longer than Sam, but Sam's had a couple title defenses. I think that should earn him a rematch.
Yeah. You're right.
All right, so we'll get in the matches that are confirmed now. I mean, everybody's excited for it. Dan Merle coming back, taking on Andrew Guy. I'm a big fan of Andrew Guy. I really am. But I don't see a scenario where he's able to beat Dan. Now, yeah, Dan could have some rust, but I still think he's too good for Andrew to beat him. I know you disagree with that, Haven, so I'll go to you first.
Dan Murrell seems like a nice guy. You know, he seems like a sweet guy. I just never jumped on the bandwagon. You know, like so many people like call him the GOAT, and it's like, what did he do? He's only had a handful of matches. You know, yeah, he's knowledgeable, but Sam Levine's knowledgeable, Roka's knowledgeable, but people cheering for this guy like he's the second coming of Jesus, and it's making me sick. You know what? Andrew Guy's gonna prove why he's the GOAT, and he's gonna KO Dan Murrell in that match, and that's my prediction.
Okay, Haven, real quick to jump in on that. Real quick, how many singles matches has Andrew Guy won? Just let's speak for yourself. How Andrew Guy won?
Hey, it's not his fault. They send him to jail after that tackle. You know, he started with teams, and he's gonna play first one, and he's gonna win.
Right. And okay, so I'll tell you exactly why Murrell hopped on the bandwagon. It's a combination of A, he's a nice guy, B, he's got the stones to back it up, and the fact that he's gotten so many questions. It's the fact that he's gotten so many questions right to the point where I think it outbeats. I think it beats out all the other toughest competitors. There's also the fact that it's the developed love from Screen Junkies, where my biggest thing, and at least why I'm attached to him, I don't know if it's for every other reason, it's because Dan, it seems like, has really done a good job of separating himself as a personality, as an internet personality for most of the people, in that he doesn't just like talk about the traditional big budget superhero stuff. He really thoroughly makes an effort to talk about the smaller films in a non-pretentious way, and also in a way that still allows him to be part of the mainstream network, like Alicia Malone. Like Alicia Malone went out of her way when she was still with Collider and Screen Junkies to talk about the independent cinema. And where is she now? Off on her own. I try to tune in with her every once in a while, but I still can't get in on it. But like Murrell, I think that I'm not the only one. Like, people really appreciate the fact that he was always willing to go out of the way to talk about the smaller films, and in a non-pretentious way, in a way that really made him show that he is a lover of film. And I think that's just something that a lot of people have gotten on board with. Again, that's just me spitballing and giving my 2 cents as to why I enjoy him as a personality more so than a lot of other people on there. But that's why, for me, and like I said, he's got the stones to back it up. Like, Jesus Christ, going that triple match against Riley and Roka, and then battling Sam right afterwards and still KOing it. Like, honestly, after he retired in his match against Christian, which that match still disgusts me to this day, because not only did Christian win that in what felt like the sleazeballiest way by making sure that they got the hardest questions possible, and then he wins on a goddamn Zootopia question, and then to go out of his way and to not even try with his singles defense champ against Sam. Like, say what you will about the types of questions that he got, and how the fact that he felt like he was out of it, but he trying. So like that's why, like, I felt a big thing, because I was in Christian's corner of how far he was going, and that he said he was going to beat everybody today, because he beat Snyder, he beat Bibiani, he beat Signor, he went on that revenge tour, and then for him to just so blatantly not try at all, and not only was it not just a regular match, it was in the spectacular of all places. And for him, that's why, for me at least, it felt like not only a disgrace against Sam for winning the belt so easily, but also a detriment against Dan, where it's like, okay, you went out of your way to make sure that this guy who you self-proclaimed as the champ got the first possible. But, sorry, man, I go on these tangents. But then you so blatantly disrespect the title that you went out of your way to make sure to get out of his hand. That's why I'm not a fan of it. So that's why I hope that Dan makes his comeback, and I hope that Dan takes the singles belt again, even though, yes, I love that Levine has it, and I love that Brian's most likely going to get it, but I'm still hoping that Dan gets it, because to me, at least, Dan Murrell will forever be my champ.
He's going to get KO'd and retire and run back to Screen Junkies.
Yeah, good luck with that. No, first of all, he's never leaving Screen Junkies. Second of all, I think you're actually talking about Guy. Because Guy, unlike Dan, who doesn't have the Schmoedown just as his only outlet, did you guys even know about Guy before he started on the Schmoedown? I know I didn't.
I did. I've been watching Action Movie Anatomy for a couple years.
Yeah, well, needless to say, I did not know about Guy before the Schmoedown. I mean, I'm glad I do now because they seem like great guys in terms of their off the beaten path. But in terms of like their actual competition, I'm like, yeah, it seems like Bateman is the one that's really pushing them along. Like, honestly, Haven, your whole thought process on Dan, that was my whole thought process on Action at the beginning. It wasn't until like Action actually started winning that I was like, oh no, these guys are actually a good team. Because for a while, I just thought that they were like big brass tactics like the Lions that only worse, who just didn't know how to shut up and didn't have the stones to back up their trash talk.
All righty. Well, let's get into this team match. You know, for the championship. Above the line, going to be defending the belts against ex-champs, the Patriots. I've said this before, and I remain by it. I think the Above the Line is going to win this and win it with ease. I think. I just think they're too good, especially in that kind of format. I think Above the Line is going to win by at least 5 to 10 points.
Yeah, I could. The Patriots played a hell of a. They had a hell of a run. This Iron Man match, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Above the Line.
Yeah, the Iron Man format definitely seems like something that's geared to try and put it back towards the Patriots corner. But yeah, I agree. Above the Line is going to take it. It's just in terms of, again, I agree with you, C-Dub, where he is. In terms of the Iron Man match, he's most likely going to burn out Levine when Brienne comes out and challenges him for the singles belt in that match. I do agree that is going to benefit Above the Line a lot because I just feel like in terms of the overall amount of knowledge that they question that they know, like I said, that's just a powerhouse. Like that was honestly one of the best decisions that Christian ever made, putting Sam and Drew together as a team, because those two are an absolute powerhouse when it comes to just amount of information that I know. And I think that not in terms of like how to play the game, in terms of knowing the rules and everything, especially considering the fact that the Patriots are the reason why so many of the bullshit excess rules, like the JTE rule, like the repeat rule, like the challenge rule, all exist. There's just the fact that in terms of pure knowledge and knowing the overall amount of movies that you know, Above the Line has the Patriots beat.
And then also, once you get to that speed round, you've seen how dangerous Sam is.
Nobody beats Levine. Exactly. Nobody beats Levine in that speed round.
Although Clark did better than him in their last match, but Sam still beat her to win the belt. All right, well, let's move on to a match. Many people might not be all that invested in this match, but I certainly am. It's a triple threat. My homegirl Janine taking on her Viper Squad mate Stacey Howard, and then also Mark Andreyko from the Five Club. I'm really excited for this match. Now, Janine is somebody, she's 2-0, but I feel like, she hasn't beat A-level competition, but she still won her matches. She beat who was put in front of her. I feel that counts for something. Now, I think this is going to be the match where people are really going to take notice of Janine. She's going to put the Schmoedown League on notice that, yeah, she started out as a reactor, but she belongs, and she ain't going nowhere. I mean, I think she's going to take this thing.
I 100% agree with you, C-Dub. I love Andreyko. I always root for him to do really well, but I do have to give it to Janine on this one, especially considering the fact of she has kind of gotten the shaft in terms of actual competitors that she's gotten to face, but she has proved that she knows her stuff. I still think putting her up against Emma Fyfe, which again, you're going to hate me, but putting her up against Emma Fyfe was a massive detriment to her abilities, because to me, it's like you put her up against somebody like Emma Fyfe, you're already like dumbing down her actual skill set and competition, because you're obviously going to get easier questions in order to account for Fyfe. But the fact that she is going up in this triple threat, not only against Andreyko, but against Stacey, who has massively proved herself, like much more so, because like I said, Stacey, before she made her name in singles, before she kicked Ellis's ass in the singles tournament last year, she has really proved herself in terms of coming out of the singles competition. But I agree, this game is Janine's to take.
Well, to touch on that point, it's not that they just gave Janine Emma. Janine challenged Emma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
all right.
Yeah, because Emma was taking shots at the Viper Squad. But yeah, Haven.
I love Janine. She's a really cool personality to be on the Schmoedown. But I'm gonna have to go with Stacey Howard on that one.
I can respect that. I mean, Stacy, aside from that, that ugly loss to Cushing last year in the tournament after she had beaten Ellis, she has played very well. All right, well, let's move on to this Star Wars match. We got Alex Damon. We've seen him. He won. He won his triple threat at the live event. He's great. Unfortunately, we won't get to see him take on Sam Witwer. Instead, he'll be taking on Bruce Green, who, I'll be honest with you, I've never even heard of this guy. I guess he's a great Star Wars, fan, but I know nothing about him.
I don't know either one of these guys. The one guy, he's played one match, whatever.
Damon's had two matches. He played in a Fatal 5-Way where Sam Witwer ended up getting the win to take on Ken Knapsack for the belt. And then he was at the live event.
Yeah, I don't know. This match is kind of I don't have no insight on this one.
Like I said, I still think you want to talk about surprise appearance of C-Dub. I know that, again, I might be totally wrong about this, but I still think that they're going to somehow find a way to get in Whitwer for a last minute steal and try to, upset the belt from Damon, especially because you're right. We have no idea who this guy is. The only thing we've seen from him is like a clip at the end of the match that, like, if you're like me and you fast forward through all that stuff, you get to that one clip and you're like, who the hell is this guy? But yeah, like I said, my money's still on Whitwer making a surprise appearance, but in this game, I mean, it's Damon's to take because that kid has really showed himself, especially with how terrible Knapsack had been playing in the last couple Star Wars matches. It's like, yeah, okay, you need to step aside and make room for somebody else to challenge Whitwer for the belt. And Damon looks like he's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive Whitwer's not going to show up because, well, I mean, it's one thing for Christian to say he's not going to make Sam compete for the singles because he's playing in the teams. It's a whole nother thing for him to say this person can't show up because of work. Because just recently, we've seen Robert Meyer Burnett not be able to show up because of work. So I believe that is true. Sam will not be there. I believe it.
Okay.
And also our final match, we got the Crusher, Rachel Cushing taking on Eric Zipper. Eric, he was impressive in his first match in IG, but he's taking on a beast, one of my favorite competitors. So I'm Fife Club, so I'm going with Rachel in this match. Although Eric is going to make it interesting, it ain't going to be a cakewalk for Rachel. Absolutely.
I gotta go walk my dogs before they pee in the house. Yeah, I'm going Rachel, 100%.
Yeah, seriously, Rachel's taking this. Yeah, Rachel's taking this. Nobody is topping her in that. Like, honestly, like I said, even after seeing how Mara performed, just for everybody in this whole Intergeekdom Championship, the only one who I say poses a chance against Cushing is Donica. And no, looks like I'm the only one now for right now. But yeah, so the only one who I say poses a chance against her is Donica. So yeah, Rachel for the win for this.
Well, I mean, I don't know about all that. I think Mara could give her a run. I think Kalinowski could give her a run.
No way.
I give Kalinowski a better shot than Donica. Haven? I guess Haven's not there.
No, Haven's out for.
Oh, okay.
The brief second.
Well, I mean, yeah, I got Rachel and Kalinowski I got in the final, although Mara could make this whole thing interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, that about covers it for me. Unless you got anything else you want to add.
I'm good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to leave your comments, any questions down in the comment section. If you want to come on the show, we'd be happy to have you. So I'll send it to our guest for today. He made his debut and did a pretty kick-ass job, I gotta say. Dominic Rizzi, where can everybody find you?
You You can find me on Twitter at Movie Nerd Review. You can also check out my YouTube channel where I'm trying to post as much stuff now that I can. Same thing, Movie Nerd Reviews. You can also follow me on Instagram at Dominic Rizzi and check out my Letterboxd page, which has now basically become the primary outlet for all of my written stuff. That is Letterboxd / my name, Dom81797.
Awesome. Haven, are you back yet, buddy?
Yeah, I think he just left
I
us.
guess he's not. Well, you can find me on YouTube at Christopher Woodburn. You can find me on Twitter, Chris Woodburn83, Facebook, Christopher Michael Woodburn. If you do Schmoedown reactions, trailer reactions, come join the MTS Fan Reaction League on Facebook. Also, I will be doing an interview with a movie trivia Schmoedown competitor on Tuesday, so be on the lookout for that. So for Haven, for Dominic, for James Simo, he was on earlier, I'm C-Dub. Peace. Haven, come back. I need you to stop the stream.
Yeah, right? Still streaming right now. So I guess this is a little bit odd and random. Now, C-Dub, I just wanted to show you a post that I found online. It's a bunch of Star Wars memes. So the first, it's like a grid like this, and I'm just going to read out to you some of the captions that are underneath it, right? So you got Jake Lloyd in the top corner. It says, quit acting due to bullying for his role as Anakin. Then on the middle, next to him, you got Ahmed Best, who's the actor who plays Jar Jar Binks. It says, nearly committed suicide over backlash to Jar Jar Binks.
I seen that.
Yep.
I mean, that's just terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
yeah, the movie's not that good, but to make somebody feel that way is just terrible.
Yeah, no, but I'm getting down to Kylo Ren, and it's like, I think this is why Kylo Ren is such an interesting villain. He's a whiny, selfish, old-school, worshipping, angry cosplayer, and when he throws tantrums, that's Disney saying, this is you. And I'm like, honestly, if we're talking about that, I feel like Syndrome is a much better conduit for that from The Incredibles, but still, like, it kind of does make sense, especially because, like, even George Lucas has said at a certain point when people ask him, like, why does it make Star Wars movies? He's like, are you kidding me? In this current climate where all fans do is whine and complain and get angry at you because you didn't make the movie that they wanted to make, it's like, why would I do that? That's not fun anymore. And I'm like, you know, as much as I dislike the prequels and what you did with them, he's got a point. Oh, Haven, you decided to come back.